Mm.
We are recording, by the way.
Oh shit!
Oh, fuck.
I did a silent count on that one.
I hate you, Abel.
All right.
That's so great. Looking into the camera, go.
Mm. All right, let's count down. What are we on? Episode 17. All right, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Game.
Hey, and welcome to episode 17 of the Modern Gaming Weekly Podcast. I'm your host, the Able Geek, Able himself, and I'm joined with the Brown Baymax, Chips, and Sparky today for our first episode of 2022. How you guys doing tonight?
Don't you mean
Doing
season
pretty
2?
good.
Season 2, yeah. I mean, breaking them up into seasons. I don't know how that's going to look in like Spotify and stuff, but technically season 2. I figure we could do maybe like 2 seasons a year, maybe
Up to
3,
you.
maybe. I'm not 100% sure how it's going to work. But yep, season 2, first episode of 2022. And it's midnight, guys. We're recording this kind of late, but we're here.
Sorry.
Baymax has his gamer fuel going there.
Bah, blast.
His ball.
Bah, bah, bah.
We got Sparky here dressed as Master Chief, if you're watching on YouTube, which will give you a little bit of an insight on what the episode's about if you just ignore the title and click play. But how you guys doing so far in 2022? We're a week in already. It just flew by, man. I feel like we just said goodbye in our last episode 2 weeks ago, and here we are.
It's been a busy week at work. Going back to work after having some, was that a 4 or 5 day week, 4 or 5 day day off.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I'm gonna be so tired this podcast. I'm like running
I'm
like
right there
2.5
with you.
hours of sleep.
That's the worst going in after the like Christmas, New Year's holidays, right? Back to work after
Oh my
all
God,
that
those
food and vacation time.
I would say
Mondays
it's the
really
worst,
feel
but
long.
I've had quarantine and 17 days off before New Year's, so went back to work on New Year's Eve, and I've had 1 day off, and that's gonna be my 1 day off until the 16th ish. So a lot of work.
Nice. Well, at least you're feeling better though, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
That's good. And how about you, Bay? How's your week been of 2022?
So I've worked all week, did overtime today. I had a patient yell at me today for apparently she couldn't hear right, and I was like, "Can you verify phone number?" And she was like, "Can you do incomplete sentences?" And I was
Damn.
like,
She wasn't filling the HIPAA information.
it's not even that's not even HIPAA. That's common knowledge. But I'm sitting here, and then she starts ripping into me, and I'm just sitting here, just staring at her, like into her soul. Like
Jeez.
she could see the eternal flames in my body rising, and then she throws these crocodile tears, and I'm like,
No, Baymax made somebody cry already this year.
it wasn't even me, and I'm sitting here going like, and then my coworkers come up to me and was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I just had to go take a little break."
All right, before we get into this episode's topic, any games you guys played so far this year? I know you guys, Baymax did a stream on New Year's, and you guys were playing some fighting games, which looked pretty fun.
That was fun.
But what games? What games are we playing to start the year?
Well, to literally start the year, we were playing Mortal Kombat 11. Played some noob Cybot, and not a lot of people like me for that one.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
because you cheated.
Oh, right. No, I've been playing VR a lot. I just finished Half-Life Alyx, and then I've been playing Pavlov VR. I've been doing.
Oh, okay.
I've been, I told Mikey about this earlier, like, because it's so janky for every like. It's not like your typical like first person shooter or whatever. So like, I love the fact that like people take forever to try and shoot you. So like, I'll go grab a grenade, pull the pin, and I go up to someone. I'm like, just make sure they see it, drop it as they look at it, start panic firing. It's been a blast so far.
I need to get into some VR. I think sometime this year I'm going to pick up maybe a Quest or something. I need to get into it. I'm far behind. How about you, baby? Any games to start the new year?
I started playing Dead Estate that I bought, and what other game was I playing? There's another game that I'm playing as well. I just don't remember the top of my head what it was. I think I just started Bastion once more,
Mm.
because I had never like I played 10 minutes of it and didn't pick it up again. But yeah, Dead Estate. I started playing that. It's basically like a dungeon crawler, like Binding of Isaac and um, like Binding of Isaac. Basically, you can't compare it
Yeah,
to anything else. But it's pretty fun.
good. Sounds good. And Spark, I think you were telling us that you're getting into those PlayStation exclusives recently.
Oh, and here we
Yeah,
go. So,
no,
so it's
this
a
is
start.
No, did
right
I just
in
open
there.
Pandora's box?
No,
What have you been playing, Sparky?
I've been getting back into Overwatch lately for the new year.
To the
I wanted
trash can.
hey. I don't know actually. They seem more balanced now. And I was looking at the patch notes, and it looks like they haven't really balance changed it in a while, and it felt pretty balanced. And I really just joined it because I have a habit of if a character I main comes out with a new skin, I usually, even if I haven't played the game in like 2 years, I'll throw money at the game to get it. But Overwatch is nice. All I had to do was throw some time into it. So I played some placements and got a new Brigitte skin. And kind of fell
Nice.
in love with it again, and have been playing a lot more of it.
I need to get back into Overwatch. I had it in my cart, my um, BattleNet cart for like a year, and then finally I buy it, and then I think I played it like 3 times. So I need to, I definitely need to get back into it. I actually been playing some Cruise and Blast, which has been a lot of fun on the Switch, and Real
Meow.
Arcadey. I think did we play Cruise and Blast in Austin?
Yes, we did.
I don't.
We did.
Hmm.
That one was a lot of fun. And then, okay, and then another one I played. I know not too long ago we're doing the indie showcase. We talked about Figment 2, and I said it didn't look like a game I would play. Well, I played Figment 1 on the Switch because they had it on sale. So I picked it up for $1.99, and it's actually a pretty good game. So I'm gonna have to take back my previous statement that it wouldn't be a game that I would be interested in, and say it's pretty cool. It kind of gives me like this Fez vibe where it's like kind of chill music, and it's kind of like a relaxing game. The music can kind of get this like alternative rock vibe to it as well. So when like the action picks up, so it looks pretty cool. Definitely gonna finish playing it out. But yeah, that's mainly been it. I did buy Breath of the Wild finally, so at some point I'm gonna play that one. But
Finally.
finally, yeah. Well, so today's episode we're gonna get into OG Xbox, the original Xbox, and how it fares in 2022. Got to get the year right. I
We're in
keep wanting to say 20.
2021.
Yeah, I keep wanting to say 21. So, original Xbox in 2022. Did you guys have an Xbox growing up, like when they first came out?
Yes, I did.
What did you think of it
I
back then?
didn't.
I mean, with the Duke controller and you're playing like this and you're like my hands, but um, but yeah, I loved it. That's how I got into like Burnout Paradise, not Burnout Paradise, Burnout 3. Um, and what's it called? There was a game called Whack It. I don't know
Oh
if you
yeah,
guys ever
yeah.
heard
I
of
think I
it.
have it. Yeah.
Um, I mean, there was a lot of like Xbox. Indigo Prophecy was one of them as well. That was on the Xbox original. I mean, there's a bunch of games that I got, even Fable and so on.
Oh, Fable for sure. Yeah. How about you, Chips? Did you get it when it first came out or around that time?
No, I was too young for getting it my first time. I worked in. The first experience I had, I could distinctively remember. Me and my parents moved into their new house out of the apartment we used to all live in, and the kids down the street had one, and we were playing Halo, and we were distinctively playing Assault on Control Room
Oh,
mission and whatnot, and it blew my mind because the first time I've ever played something that was not a Nintendo 64. So like when we beat the mission on Halo and whatnot, I was like, yeah, we beat the game and whatnot. He's like, yeah, no, we didn't. We still got like 10 more missions to go. And I'm like, what? My mind was blown for it.
Yeah, right on, man. So when did you end up getting one? Do you know roughly around like what year that had been or how old you were?
Oh man. Not until like way later I got my own personal one. I've ruined a plenty. Um, just from like secondhand ones that I got that like my parents wouldn't let me have and whatnot. But it's been about like 11 years, give or take, since I've actually had my own personal one to mess around with and have them call my own.
Gotcha. Okay. And how about you, Sparky? Did you get it around the time it came out, and what were your thoughts on
um,
it?
I didn't really get it around the time it came out. I didn't really get any of the Xboxes the time they came out. It was always like a year, maybe in a year and a half afterwards. I remember Xbox, same kind of story with chips. Down at a buddy's house, it seems to be where the shit goes down. And we ended up playing Halo, and it was I want to say the second mission of Halo, where like you crash land, and just remember playing that mission going out. I forget what it's called, but um,
Halo.
yeah, just Halo. Crash landed on the alien planet, and then you fucking
Ring.
coming out in that big ravine with the banshees flying in. I remember playing that, and then finishing Halo together, and that just made me want an Xbox. And I think my dad brought home one from Korea when he got back from stationed, and I think I had Fable and Halo, and that was the only two games that I played the shit out of. Then like Spy versus Spy and all these other like Battlefield
Yeah.
and Forza. I ended up getting a bunch of those, and I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's some good games. Fable's one it comes up a lot, which was a great game. Um, I think the Xbox personally, I got it maybe about 2 years, 3 years after it came out. I got the actually had the PlayStation 2 and the GameCube first, and then a few years later, I ended up getting the Xbox. But it was a lot of fun. Jet Set Radio Future was one of my favorites when it came out.
Yes.
I just got
I
that for
was
Steam too last Black Friday.
Yeah, I was a big fan of Jet Grind Radio and Dreamcast. So when that one came out, I had to get it. Um, Splinter Cell, I thought was pretty awesome. God, there's a lot of good titles. Haven't really played much Halo. We were talking about that earlier. Haven't really played a whole lot of Halo, so at some point I'm gonna have to sit down and play it, see what all the hype's about. But
Do some co-op with it, man.
yeah, I played a lot of like LAN games on the original one, and like when I was in college, and a little bit after as well. I think I told the story when we were at Classic Game Fest how I slaughtered some little kid in Halo for about 20, 30
I'm,
minutes.
I'm
Oh
sitting here
Lord.
next. I'm sitting next to Abel, and the only thing I see is Abel's like, I'm gonna wreck this nerd.
Yeah, well, I didn't know, I was running around, I didn't even know we were connected, and then all of a sudden, this guy starts shooting me, so I was like, "Okay, you wanna go there?" And then I turn around, it's like an 11-year-old kid, but, that didn't stop me. We had to take care of business.
Abel's like, I see this 11-year-old kid. Hmm.
So I just wanted to go in, I don't know if you guys have any games off the top of your head, but as far as, you know, playing this console in 2022. I mean, this is a console came up what about 20 years ago, 21 years ago now, somewhere around there. So it's been a little over 2 decades now. Um, do you think it's still highly playable? If somebody wants to go pick this up, and what are some of your games that you would recommend? I think are kind of must-haves for this system.
Chips could go first.
You talking
I,
about
I
the
want
original or like the new one?
original.
Original.
I'll wait for you guys to go. I got a lot on my plate that I wanna share.
Okay,
I'll start
go
again
go
then.
ahead, Sparky. Yeah,
I would say personally, I think it is like if you're into older games, like I know kids nowadays, it's hard to like show them some classic games or get them in some of the older stuff. But if you are into like not caring about the newest graphics and whatnot, it definitely is a console worth going and picking up. You can find them pretty cheap still, and like they've only gone down in price and very accessible for a console. And as long as your TV still has composite, I think it was, if your TV can still support it or get an adapter. Once you get that all figured out, getting that and just three of the games that I can list right off the top of my head, we're getting like the original Fable for the Xbox, Halo 1 and 2 definitely are like any Xbox, you have to get the Halo for that Xbox, I personally think. And then one of the, I guess it wasn't a Xbox exclusive at the time, but Spy versus Spy is a really fun like local player game you can get in with some buddies and cause some havoc, and
Yeah, I
definitely
like
think
Spy
it's
versus
fun to
Spy.
go back to. Personally, I have the emulators of all those games and or the remakes if they made remakes, and they're some of my favorite games.
Yeah,
I
right on. Yeah, those are some good titles. Spy versus Spy, I haven't played that one for Xbox. I think I have the original for NES. I believe it was for, but I'll have
they
to
made
check that one out.
a I know which one you're talking about. They made
Mhm.
like a newer one that's not a remake. It's a whole different game.
Mm.
What does it remind me of nowadays? There aren't many like party shooter games that are like just arcadey fun times. The only game I can think of that's recent is this indie game called Screen Cheat, where like it's 4 person split screen, and the object like on your screen as the player, you can't see what you're shooting at, but you can screen cheat and see where everybody else is. And you like the object is you can't aim first person by seeing the enemy. You have to look where they're at on their screen to shoot them. And
Oh
it's like
wow.
that little arcadey kind of shooting game that like you run around as the white spy, and they added more colors in, and you get all
Oh
the
man.
comical like assassination things and kill the other spies, like the comics.
Yeah, kind of had almost like that, kind of like Looney Tunes feel to it. Huh?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right on. And all right, Baymax, you want to go next with some of the games that you like for the original Xbox, and do you think it's still highly playable today if somebody want to go pick it up?
Oh yeah, highly guaranteed. It's highly playable because if somebody wants to go pick up the console, you could get mods for it. Um, that's what Chips does.
Yeah, that's where I was
You could
going
add
with
a
it.
you could add HDMI to it.
Yeah.
Um, HDMI to it as well, so you can use it on modern TVs. And as well, you could upgrade the RAM if you wanted to as well on the
On
system.
there are certain models that won't accept that.
Well, what he said,
Yeah,
but
you have to do your due diligence before you start that process.
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
But hands down, I believe that it's still viable. Someone get an Xbox original. I mean, it's a cheap console. I mean, it's heavy duty, so if you drop like a TV on it, it survives it.
Yeah, don't drop it on your toe if you're carrying it around because that thing
We're
will
Ooh.
trying that
that will
though.
crush bone. What are a couple games you think are must haves if somebody's going to go pick this up?
Must-have games: Conker's Live and Reloaded, Fable is another one. Time Splitters, either one or two on the Xbox original. Um, and then there was Indigo Prophecy, um, and Burnout 3 Takedown.
That
Oh,
was a
I
good
got
one.
to add a Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball.
I was
That
gonna
is
mention
the
that,
must
but
have.
I mean, virtual,
Jiggle
yeah,
physics, as my girlfriend
Yeah,
calls it.
jiggle physics, man. Only
For the plot,
probably
of course.
possible around this generation when it came out. So. um, and yeah, what was the one you had mentioned there, BMX? You'd got one that I was just thinking of. Oh,
well,
Conquer, yeah.
Conker's
What?
Live and
Oh my
Reloaded.
god. When I got Conquer for the Xbox, I was like blown away how good that looked. Like when you're storming like the beach in Normandy,
Oh my god,
Oh my.
right? You sitting here
it looked good.
storming it, and then just pieces of freaking squirrels flying everywhere.
Yeah,
You're
it's
sitting.
such a good game. And I think it's like I think we looked it up the other day because I think we
Koopa.
saw it on yeah, DS Coupa was selling it, and I think it's like $40 CIB, somewhere around there, 40, 50. It's not too bad. It's a great game, so I agree. I think that's definitely one to to pick up if you like that kind of toilet humor kind of action game. But
It is censored. It's heavily censored
Mhm.
on the Xbox compared to the N64.
Yeah, I only played a little bit of the N64 one, but I know that one was real controversial.
Very controversial.
Right.
And Chips, what do you think as far as getting this console? Would you say it's something that's
Oh,
highly playable? And what are some games you recommend?
oh man. I'd have to agree with Baymax on that. Yeah, like mods is definitely the thing that really revives a system from olden days. I have an HDMI Halo custom edition um, that I had done on there, so it like gets great video output. It's got modded uh, software on it. It's got a little mod chip or whatever, and allows me to play my homebrew games and stuff like that. Emulators, it's it is a powerhouse of a console
Mhm.
for some of the retro stuff. A lot of support happened for it, so you can find any kind of apps and stuff like that out there, even still being developed today um, for the original Xbox. But no, there's absolutely you could definitely still play it in 2022 with the right kind of setup for it. Get a newer hard drive in there, so you don't have to deal with the old IDE hard drives. That's
Mhm.
super slow, probably already dying, if not already
Probably.
dead.
Yeah.
Um, if you're into repairs, you can always fix those things. Like trace repairs, hard drive replacements, EEPROM reading and stuff like that, locking hard, all kinds of stuff. You can learn from it. That's where I started my whole journey in repairs and consoles and stuff. Um, and as far as games go, I would say, yeah, I'd have to agree with Sparky. Got to get your Halo. Got to get Halo 1, Halo 2. I agree with Baymax too as well with the Burnout games. Any of the Burnout games, I absolutely love. Um, Fable was the one that I played a lot of, which was surprising because I didn't really get into RPG games like that. But that was one that I really got into. Um, and then recently I picked up going into like kind of like peripherals and stuff like that. It's a bit on the pricier side on the Xbox stuff, but I definitely recommend getting a Steel Battalion with the controller. Um,
Mhm.
Man, if you really like mechs and whatnot, you want to get that authentic feel. You got to try this game out, man. It's super fun to play.
What's that one called?
Steel Battalion.
Steel
There's
Battalion.
two
Okay.
there's two of them. You can get the like Steel Battalion. I think I can't remember the other name for the sub name for it, but they do require that controller. You can't play these
Mm.
games without that controller, unfortunately. But it definitely gives you the whole mech feel. Super awesome.
I remember bringing that home with you.
Yeah. Go to a little
But yeah.
game shop or whatever up in Denver and stuff, and you're like, "Hey, look at that box in the corner over there." And I was like, "Oh."
Yeah, and then for myself, yeah, I would definitely say it's definitely playable in 2022. Um, like I mentioned, I got mine. Oh God, it was probably maybe 2003, 2004 when I got it. And I don't have my original. I ended up buying one off my wife's cousin about maybe 5 or 6 years back. He was kind of getting rid of some of his consoles. I bought his Super Nintendo and Xbox for like $70. I mean, it was like a great deal. And so I've had that one, and some of the games I would say, Panzer Dragoon Orta is one. Um, I didn't have a Sega Saturn when I was a kid. I got one, I think, in my early 20s, but so I didn't really play a whole lot of the original Panzer Dragoon. But this is a great one to play. And I believe it's a lot less expensive than if you're going to go get the Sega Saturn version.
Yeah, it's still up
Um,
there.
a good cheap game, I would say, if you're into kind of like the mech games, that kind of stuff. Mech Assault is like a $5 game, and I think it's pretty fun to play. Some of the ones you guys mentioned, like Conquer, all those are great. Halo, I played the LAN games. I haven't really played too much into it, but one day I'm going to sit down and play through the series and kind of see what it's about. Another one, I think it's a pretty inexpensive game, maybe around $8 to $10. I have to check price charting again. It's been a minute, but Blinks the Time Sweeper is another one. I thought it had a really
Oh
cool game
my
mechanic.
god. I forgot about Blinks.
Yeah, such a cool game. And cool thing about that one, for anybody who hasn't heard about it, is you can basically control time in that one. So what was it? Braid, I think, had that kind of mechanic in it too, where you can fast forward and rewind and all that kind of stuff, um, as an indie game. But I think this one came out way before and it had that mechanic, which was really cool. But yeah, those are some of the ones I would pick up. Conquer if you want to spend a little bit more money, but Fusion Frenzy I thought was another great one.
Oh
It's
yeah,
kind of like
absolutely.
Microsoft's version of Mario Party. That one's a lot of fun. I think that one's pretty cheap also.
Do you guys remember Professor Muto for the
Mm,
Xbox original?
yeah,
That's another one that popped into my head.
yeah.
I was like, how the hell do you spell this? And I was like, okay, I gotta Google it real quick.
And then, so going into some of the accessories that are available for the Xbox. To be honest, I'm not familiar with a ton of accessories. I don't know if Xbox had a ton of accessories compared to some other systems. Um, I know, like the original one I got when I got the system, and me and Sparky were talking about this, kind of between the difference between my
I was like, "Why would it do that for so long?"
as Sparky moves up. What was that, Sparky?
It's a grunt.
Is that from Halo?
Yeah.
Halo 3 specifically, it looks
He
like.
moves grunt across the screen. Um, so the fact that it could play DVDs was really cool. And I was talking to Sparky about this before the show, and we were saying like with PlayStation 2 and Xbox, it kind of became your for a lot of people became your primary DVD player since you already had it hooked up to your TV. There was kind of no need for another one. But PlayStation, you can actually play it right out of the box DVDs. Xbox, you had to go get the adapter. So
Stupid
you had to
fucking
Because
adapter.
and
that
I told Sparky that's very kind of Microsofty of them to, you know what I mean? You
well
have to go and buy this extra adapter and
well, that was due to from my understanding, it was due to a licensing limitation. So like when Sony released their system, it had a they had already included, like when you went to go purchase this the PlayStation 2, you were technically purchasing a licensing to be able to play the DVD media, um, and whatnot. So it was already bundled in one thing. Um,
mm,
but with Xbox, to cut costs and whatnot, they took that device out, of the system and whatnot, and to allow you to play it, because all that little receiver is it tells the Xbox saying, hey, you can play DVDs because this
yeah,
is the license or thing or whatever for it.
yeah.
Um,
And
but
then I imagine it just has the infrared for the remote as well,
right,
which
yeah, it's just that most of the
which
most of
came
the circuit board on there is just information stuff to allow you to use the remote for it.
yeah. But I think that's the only accessory I actually had for my Xbox. I know they had different kinds of controllers and stuff like that and portable screens, but did you guys have anything like that?
I have a interact screen that attached to the top of the Xbox. It has its own little proprietary cable and stuff. You just flip it up and you can start playing. So that way you don't have to bug your mom or dad or whatever, to take their TV up and stuff. You got your own little screen.
No, yeah.
I
Sure, it'd come in handy.
definitely a lot of controller peripherals. Steel Battalion being one of them. It's like I said, you got
Mm.
it's a big old mech thing. There's like 50 buttons on that thing, and each one of those buttons does
Oh,
something for
really?
the game. Yeah, it's crazy. Um, there's other adapters and stuff like that for video quality. So like
Mm.
the HDMI port that I've been doing, is a mod. You have to tear down the system and whatnot, but you can get something like component cable adapters and stuff like that, um, that were Xbox really like licensed and whatnot. So it has a little
Yeah.
box, whatever. There's one for like composite. Allows you to get like composite video out or whatever via RCA cables instead of their normal proprietary cable that they had.
Hmm.
Um, that way you can like, I don't know, it's like split like digital audio or something for it.
Yeah.
Then they had another one that was for composite, um, and whatnot. So that's the way you get like better video quality out and whatnot.
Hmm.
Um, as far as other accessories, I'm not
Yeah, I just
100%
remember
sure
the
in knowledge
TV
on it
remote.
though.
That's about it. But my dad, like, I got mine from my dad when he went to Korea, and um, I want to say he said it was modded, because I remember playing movies off of it. So I think it was mainly a movie mod. It was what he used in Korea to like watch movies while he was deployed and stuff. And It was just
Mm.
ease of access from like a DVD player, a modded Xbox basically, and could play games on it. And sadly, he didn't get a mod where he put a bunch of games on it. But you remember, like I remember him saying like, I would have got this and we would have had more games, but I just went with the movie. And I was like, why didn't you do the first one? But
What's
I remember getting the TV remote for it, and that was just like honestly, that was my entertainment. That was movies, DVD, like anything I needed was my Xbox back then.
Right on, yeah. I remember seeing the screens that you're mentioning, chips. How was the quality on those? Was it pretty good for the time?
for the time? Yes. Nowadays, nah, it's it's pretty bad. There's a lot of ghosting and stuff that happens on those
Mm.
screens, um,
Ah,
and they're somewhat decently priced, anywhere between like 50 and up. Um,
I
but
remember
and
those were
it
the
gets
first things I saw for like portable screens with the consoles, though. I don't
Yeah.
know if like the Dreamcast that you had able did it first or not, but I definitely
uh,
remember Xbox was the first one I saw of just getting shown that kind of technology.
I know, I had a PS1 that had the screen. Yeah, and,
Oh shit!
Chips has it right there, yeah.
yeah.
That thing was awesome for the time. I used to love playing games on that. I don't know if I would still like it as much. I still wanna get one. I have that PlayStation, but I don't have the screen for it. So eventually I wanna get
they're
one. But
they're pricey.
yeah, they're getting up there, and yeah, just for me, it would just for a collector's thing at this point, but
That's what I have mine for. It operates, but yeah, I keep it on there. Just like, yeah, that's cool. I'm gonna keep it there.
I mean, the one thing I liked the most was the Duke controller. That honestly
hmm
is you either love it or you hate it, but it for me that revolutionized like controllers. I'm not a big fan of the PlayStation style controllers, and even over the years, Xbox has taken that Duke controller that kind of revolutionized a more ergonomic feel to controllers with the rounder form fitting like shape of it, and
hmm
they even spent like 100 million on their newer controllers to like perfect it and stuff, which I think they have with like the Elite series, in my opinion.
The
yeah,
that
the
re-
Dukes, I like them.
The
Sorry.
only thing I wish is
No,
that they would bring back the Duke as like a Bluetooth controller,
mm,
because I know they just had their 20th anniversary and they brought back the original controller with the 20th anniversary, and they had the Hyperskin for the wired one earlier, and
yeah,
this newer one, while it's still a wired controller, was able to like unplug the cord to it. But
mhm.
I really wish they would just go full on out and make one branded by Microsoft, since their wireless technology is patented for a Bluetooth Duke controller. That's just has always been my favorite, even though it's clunky, big.
Yeah.
It reminds me of some of my favorite times gaming as a kid, and it's nostalgic, and I love the design.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
What you reminded me about talking about controllers and stuff. They have adapters and stuff like that for the controllers. Like you can, with the Xbox being in its infancy of Xbox Live, you can have an adapter for a mic that plugs into the controller because there's two
Yeah,
slots on the controllers itself to plug in like memory cards. Like I said, you had the mic adapter or whatever
Oh,
that's
yeah,
plugged
yeah.
in there, so you can plug up your like headset or whatever to it. There was another adapter that I found just kind of in a bin somewhere, and I was like, "Oh, this looks interesting. Oh, it looks like it connects there." It's a Fantasy Star Online keyboard adapter for the
Mm,
original Xbox, and I I lost my mind on that thing because doing mods for the Xbox, you can use USB sticks, certain types of USB sticks as memory cards if you modify the
mhm.
controller port of the memory card to have a USB female adapter in there. So you plug in a USB or whatever to it and it would read it as a memory card. And then like I said, I found this official adapter for a keyboard works exactly the same way and I don't have to destroy my controller anymore.
Oh, that's
S-
awesome.
speaking of online, did like I don't remember, just because online back then was rare for me. I didn't even have online for the Xbox myself. It was a buddy's house that I was blown away. We're like, let's go play online. We could play with strangers, blah blah blah. But did the PlayStation 2 even have online? I
That's
never
the
used
thing.
it if it did.
Yeah,
Yes,
had an
there's
adapter to play online.
Ah,
yeah.
Dreamcast even had it,
oh
had
really?
the, Ethernet port in the back, yeah.
Yep.
Y Yeah, around that time, I was playing online on console either. I think for me it was more like PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 when I got online with console, but I was definitely playing
LAN
online on
parties.
PC like late 90s, like Unreal Tournament, things like that. But I didn't really get into it on console. I remember even one guy. This is like a year or so after Dreamcast came out. We're talking about the Dreamcast, and I had mentioned I don't play online, and he's like, "You don't play online? Like that's like the whole point of it." And blah blah. I was like, "Well, it's just I don't know. I never thought about going online." But
Yeah, the original Xbox was definitely my introduction to like online gaming.
yeah,
Not the one I owned personally. Like, I don't think I ever hooked up my Xbox original to Xbox Live, but that was like my first experience doing any kind of online gaming. And I remember it to this day. It was like Battlefield, the original Battlefield for Xbox, and being able to play that online with like at the time I think it was what 8 or 16 players with max, and I was just blown away that you could have so many people in a lobby. And now I think like
yeah.
you see
Was it
Battlefield nowadays and it's like 124 in the lobby, and you're like, okay.
wasn't limited to just 4 controller ports anymore? But yeah, that was pretty awesome. Just looking at some of the other accessories here, we talked about the controls. I like the Duke also. For me, it's more like nostalgic because that's the first one I had with it. But I know they came out with the controller S or
A Duke S,
Xbox.
yeah.
Yeah, that one
Mhm.
was a little smaller, a little. I think it fit better in your hand. I think that's the one I eventually ended up playing more with. They had a FPS Master controller as well. That one's interesting. Check that one out online if you FPS Master controller. That one's looks like something out of Star Wars. Um, they also had a Spider-Man controller, which looks
Oh
ridiculous.
my god,
Yep.
that master controller.
And then just speaking on some of the accessories, like for upscalers, I know Chips had mentioned like some of the component cables they got, right, or composite cables.
Mhm.
They're the Microsoft branded ones. And then the one I actually have for mine right now, because I have it hooked up to an LCD TV, I have a Pound cable from Pound Technology. And I have one running right now with my PlayStation 2 and Xbox. And I think it upscales it to 720p. I'm not sure if that's 100% accurate, so don't quote me on that. Go look it up on the website. But I think it upscales it to 720p. It kind of distorts the color, I think, a little bit. It looks a little more contrasty. It's not 100% original as far as the color scheme for some consoles, but it lets you play it through HDMI. I think it's an awesome cable, and they're usually like 25, $30. So there's something you might want to consider if you're looking to get these and you don't have a CRT TV or a TV with those component or composite cables, because a lot of I know like the TV I just bought, I don't even think has those connections anymore, or might have maybe just like 2 or 3, but definitely not the full range of ports that you had on some of the older CRTs back in the day. So that's something to consider. But I just look at that Spider-Man controller. That thing's ridiculous.
I mean, it's better than probably the controllers that have built-in fans.
Yeah, I,
From
I
like
still see those. I don't know.
the GameCube one.
Yeah, I still have
That
that
you have.
GameCube one. It's totally broken, but I'm sure I can fix it up someday.
And then as far as collecting for this console, um, where would you guys shop? Like, where are you gonna go if you want to get some games, some accessories, some of the stuff we talked about? Where are you gonna? Where do you
eBay.
think Hey, eBay's. If you can eBay snipe, you can maybe get some good prices.
Legally, I
But
don't
like,
think I can list the ROM site.
Sparky's like, I can get you all these games digitally on a DVD for $5.
Uh,
Chips, what's some of the sources that you go to when you want to get prices for these games and buy them online
Oh
or
man.
anywhere? It doesn't have to be online.
Um, Usually local is, and probably in some of the like the weird like junk bins, you can find a lot of different types of Xbox accessories and stuff like that. Like I said, like the headphone adapters and stuff like that. Oh man. The Xbox is region locked, so you can't play Japanese games on it, and on a U.S.
Boo!
system, and you can't play U.S. games on a Japanese system. So same thing with like PAL games and stuff. Um, but of course, but of course, with mods, you can totally bypass that. um, but the accessories shouldn't be region locked, and I say shouldn't be because I don't know what else accessories are out there. Some of the stuff that I've mentioned already should be perfectly fine. So like I'd probably use a site like Buy to get stuff from like overseas, because a
Mm,
lot of the times they, from what I've noticed, they don't test their systems, or if they do and whatnot, or if they have it, they're like, oh well, we have this, but we don't know what it's to, so we're sell this for like dirt cheap and stuff like that.
yeah.
As do people here in the states, where everyone's like, oh, I know what this is and I know what I have, stuff like that. So you could probably get some really good accessories and stuff like that. The shipping might be a little much. Same thing with Japanese games. There's a lot of, I think there's like two Japanese games that are exclusive, that if you try to get it here in the states, it's like 600-700 bucks. But yeah, and if you're lucky enough, where people have actually posted it on that Buy website or some other distribution for that, you can probably get it for like 20-30 bucks,
Mm,
which is ridiculous.
yeah.
But no, most local shops have a lot of Xbox original games. You can probably find Halo 2, and all that stuff like that. Um, the Steel Battalion, that's going to be a little bit more expensive. It's like $400, getting a complete box, and then you got to make sure you get your pedals and stuff with it too, if you're getting the controller and everything.
Cat was one of those. Cyber Attack Team was one of those Japanese exclusives.
Yeah, that was one of those. Um, um, yeah, no, most local game shops have a lot of bundles of Xbox stuff, so I go with that first. Support your local businesses, especially during
Yeah.
COVID times and whatnot.
Yep.
Um, and of course, the more you buy, the better deals you typically tend to get, especially if it's like a bunch of Xbox games. They're like, oh, they please get them away.
I feel like
Yeah.
Xbox right now too, though, is it's not quite hit that peak nostalgic period of like when retro games go very high price.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, it's definitely
as
like
someone
a.
with not a local game store for retro games in my area anywhere near, eBay is still really cheap. Amazon,
Hmm.
you can sometimes find stuff. Macari, any like
Hmm.
reseller site. You're always taking a gamble with those, but it's still, and it's like you can find an Xbox super cheap on there, and games super cheap still, since it's not. I want to say like some like other games that are starting to hit, like I think it's about to hit its nostalgic period where people who are wanting to feel that nostalgic, get the old retro games from collecting again, are gonna start buying it. So I don't know. It's just
I, I think it's going to be like more like, most people see PlayStation as like PlayStation 2 being
yeah.
like, oh, I got to get my stuff on my PlayStation 2 or whatever. Like Silent Hill. Silent Hill was
Yeah.
both released on, not the first one, but like, I think it was like Silent Hill 2 and 3 and 4, um, were all released on both those systems. But if you look at the price compared to the Xbox original compared to, PlayStation prices are skyrocketed, but you can still get that same experience on the Xbox
Yeah.
for a lot
Yeah,
cheaper, almost half the price.
definitely varies, and like right now, I'm buying up a lot, unless they're like the rare titles, Chips was mentioned, like your Silent Hills and ones like that that tend to go for a lot of money. PS2 and I think Xbox, original Xbox, right now it's a good time to collect from. I'm getting most of my games like $5 to $10, sometimes less. I mean, I'm go you can go like Lukey Games, and a lot of times you can get games that are just common titles, $3, $4, so they're super cheap right now, which is weird because it's in the same generation as GameCube, and yet GameCube, like everything's an arm and a leg. So,
Nintendo
I mean,
Think of it as
Nintendo,
a
yeah,
Nintendo.
there you go. But yeah, no, I definitely agree. And then Baymax, I just wanted to get your input also, since you do collect as well. If you're going for like these games for Xbox accessories, all that kind of stuff, where you shopping?
Uh, I usually go to pawn shops, either pawn shops, thrift stores, um, and local businesses, basically like local retro game shops, depending on the shop itself. If they're you know a little if they're a little rude, I don't step into their store, but
Yeah.
um, it's depending on what shops and such.
Yeah,
But
you gotta be
mostly,
careful with some of
mhm.
those retro stores, man. There's one that opened up here. I don't know how they're still in business, but they opened up about a year or two ago. I go in and they have like it's mostly a lot of like Nintendo games, but very common titles like your $5 titles. They wanted 15 to 20 bucks though for everything. I was like, how much is that? 15. How much is that? 20. How much is that? 25. I'm like, we're just going up here. I think I'm gonna leave.
So there's a retro shop that's around the corner of GameStop that I work at.
uh,
Um, what was it called? Midnight Games or something like that,
Yeah,
Brandon?
yeah,
We walk in, no greeting, no nothing. They looked at us, they looked, and then he went back to the conversation. We literally
yeah.
stood around for like 45 minutes, 45 minutes to 50 minutes, just standing there waiting to be helped and nothing. I
Jeez.
was like, well, fuck you. And I'm like, no,
Yeah, those are definitely the places you want to stay away from.
exactly. But
And
mhm,
oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, like I like to try to hit up retro stores. Unfortunately, there's not a lot in my area, so I have to, you know, GameStop doesn't have any more. I was going to GameStop for like the 360 and PS3 games. I don't even think they got those anymore. They're
they
my
okay,
local.
so they do. Now, the way that you have to ask for them, you have to ask for a list because they have them everything in the back counter, and you
You have
don't
to
know
do
if they're yeah,
a
you don't even
drug
know
deal
if it's
for.
exactly like you don't even know if it's CIB or not.
Mm. Yeah, so I mean, those kind of stores, pawn shops and stuff. A lot of stuff I'm finding now, like at Goodwill's pawn shops, thrift stores, is like PS3, Xbox 360. I'm seeing less and less of like the PS2 and the original Xbox, but once in a while I'll see it turn up. So when it does, if it's something I don't have, then I'm usually picking it up. So yeah, those are good spots. eBay, if you can eBay snipe, find some good deals. Check online listings though. Check to see what it's selling for. Price charting, eBay sold auctions. Check the prices of what stuff is sold for recently. And get a good price for it because you definitely some of the stuff people will mark it up just because it's retro. That's the problem I have in my city is that they see retro and they're like it must be worth a lot, so I'm gonna sell it for a lot of money. And a lot of times these are like $5, $10 games, but yeah,
He's not
it's old.
lying.
Yeah,
uh-huh.
it's old, so they want a lot of money for it.
I mean, when I took my newspaper to the restroom and I'm scrolling through the marketplace, and the only thing I see is all these cheap games for like 30, $60. And I'm like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, people want to get rich quick. And, I mean, you can still make a profit on those games reselling. You just got to buy them in wholesale lots, pennies on the dollar, and then sell them for around what they're worth. $5, $10. But yeah, don't overpay for a lot of these games because a lot of them shouldn't be too expensive.
It's Nintendo. Everything's expensive.
Nintendo, I'm telling you, it's the Apple of the gaming world.
Yeah.
So true.
But yeah, just to wrap it up, any final thoughts on the original Xbox?
Bring back
Def- Go ahead.
I would say bring it back as a mini console.
There you
Oh
go.
yeah, there you go.
The
That would
it's
be
still
kind of
gonna
hard though.
it's still gonna be like the second biggest console of all time compared to the original OG Xbox.
I mean, emulation, you could get it to like this big.
Yeah,
Gonna have a lot of storage though. The Xbox and PlayStation 2 was about the generation where games started to get lots of memory usage.
They
Um,
yeah.
have SD cards that go up to 1 terabyte. It's okay.
You'll have to
Is an
buy
Xbox like the first one to have a hard drive?
yes, it has an
Everything was
internal
still
hard drive.
memory, like memory card at that point.
Yeah, it had its own internal hard drive. It was either an 8 gig or a 10 gig, which wasn't really necessarily known by when you purchasing. It wasn't really necessarily a selling point, other than the fact that hey,
Yeah, they
it
went
has an
through.
internal hard drive.
I want to say it like had its own like measurement system of like blocks or something when you went into your storage.
Yeah, it's like 50,000 blocks or whatever is what you had for saves,
How much
and
is a
whatnot.
block? I don't know.
Right,
I don't know. This game is 67 blocks. Okay,
right.
this game is 1,200 blocks. What's going on here? Um, yeah, my just kind of final thought on there before I forget it is, I like the fact that the OG Xbox you can store MP3s on there, and then a lot of games had the ability to use those MP3 files as in-game music. So like if I was playing a game and I wanted to load up like a rock playlist or like hip hop playlist or EDM or whatever, you can use that and you can have your own soundtrack to the game, which I thought was really cool. I feel like that's something they should bring back with newer gen consoles. It let you connect your Spotify account to it and
Oh
stream
yeah.
your own playlist to the games, you know? So I think that'd be awesome.
The key you need have the music up in the background playing while you're playing games.
Yeah, like I would play. I don't think I played Madden on there, but I would play. I think it was ESPN 2K5, the football game, and just load up my own soundtrack to it, and it would like fade in and out that music just like it would, its original music. So it's a pretty smart system for it.
I want to
Burnout
say I had an
hurt.
Xbox before an iPod too, so I just downloaded all my CDs to my Xbox, and that was my stereo system.
Right?
I
But that
just
won't
play my
that won't
Xbox.
that won't fit in your pocket.
Nope.
God.
I mean, are you sure?
Try. My final thought is just bring back the Duke for a wireless controller.
And Chips, what are your final thoughts on the OG Xbox?
Um, definitely give it a look. See, definitely look at the library that it has, and definitely look into mods for it. Whether you want to do it yourself or have someone look and do it for you. Definitely a system to look into and play some awesome games for it.
Yeah, I have mine back there hooked up. I'm probably gonna go play some some games later. Uh, I need to pick up some more titles though. I have like 200 PlayStation 2 games right now. I think I have maybe like 50 Xbox originals. So
Hey,
I need to up the collection a little bit.
we're
It's
going to
actually
Vegas.
typing
Yeah,
an
there you go.
Yeah.
Xbox original list, and I'm surprised there's not that many.
Yeah.
But
But But yeah, so that's going to wrap up this episode, first episode of 2022. We'll be back next week. And Baymax, where can people find you on the interwebs?
Why do you have to start off with me?
Because you have the most socials.
Oh, damn. OnlyFans. No. Uh, you can find me on Twitch as Brown Baymax, or you can find me on uh, Twitter as Brown Baymax _TV, or you on Instagram as Brown Baymax.
He secretly wants you to go to his OnlyFans.
Let's go to those OnlyFans. It's got pictures of his toes on there, I'm sure.
Ew. Ew.
And Sparky, where can people find you online?
mainly on OnlyFans nowadays. Not
He's all
as
not joking.
not as a creator, no. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram mainly at Captain Sparky Live.
Awesome. And Chips,
Still,
chipstapatio.com or what are
still
we?
kind of still. I'm still kind of really starting it up. I do have accounts open and whatnot now. I just gotta start setting stuff up.
We'll set that up on Saturday.
Yeah, maybe by
Yeah.
next week's episode we'll have some socials for Tapatio
Hopefully.
Chips. And
I'll bring
for
Dutch
me, of
Brothers
course,
over.
you can find me at the Able Geek on Twitter, Instagram. You can check out Modern Gaming Weekly podcast on there. I do stream on Twitch, usually on Friday or Saturday nights. Also at the Able Geek, you can see me and Baymax do some potato gameplay with some of our other amigos there. And also check out the Patreon. It's patreon.com/Modern Gaming Weekly. I think we're definitely going to have some cutouts from this episode in there. So.
Whatever shall you mean?
But there's some video in there, concept art. There's a whole bunch of funny stuff. So go check it out. And until next week, we'll see you later. Bye, guys.